Hello everybody. Let me introduce myself. I am Chinmay Kare, and I am based out of Bangalore, and I run a small social venture on cancer care and women's wellness. So we have been running this webinar sessions on at least a monthly or a fortnightly basis. We definitely have a few sessions like these. So as part of our venture, we actually enable integrative cancer care, which combines yoga, naturopathy, diet and nutrition, and counseling, and other such holistic methods, along with conventional treatment. So the whole idea is to help people adopt, cancer survivors, patients, adopt these methods for long-term health and wellness. And a big part of uh, uh, our holistic care is also preventive care. So people who may find themselves with certain symptoms or certain other, so they may not have cancer right now, but they may observe some other health issues which over a long period of time can translate into some other critical illness. So we also help them as part of our preventive care, help them deal with major issues, and overall help them maintain health along with this holistic care technique. So that's what we do. Now let me quickly introduce Dr. Sapna. So she's a yoga and naturopathy doctor, very well academically qualified. She's a gold medalist throughout, and she's also has an MD in clinical yoga. So, and currently she works with HCG, helping as part of their complementary care program. And she's also working with us and works with us for this holistic care program in cancer care. So, welcome, Dr. Sapna. We are very happy to have you here and address this topic of menopause and yoga. So, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Chinmay, for that intro. And thank you, everyone, for coming into this webinar. We'll quickly start with the session that we have today, which is going to be yoga in menopause. If you have any queries, you can just jot it down somewhere, and at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. So you can ask me any of the questions that you have. So first of all, I know the session is on menopause. So what exactly is menopause? It's nothing that is, that is out of the world or that only you are experiencing, but it's a very natural biological process that every woman undergoes. So there's nothing to be ashamed of, or there's nothing to be, feeling embarrassed about it. It's a very natural and a biological process that is happening in your body. It's basically a permanent cessation of menstruation. And if you take in an average, it varies. Okay, you cannot clearly say that, you enter 45, you're going to enter your menopause. It varies. Okay, from women to women, it varies. But on an average, if you take, it will be about, on an average, it will be about 51 years. Okay, but it is not like a clear-cut rule that if you are 51 below, only if you cross 51, you'll attain menopause. There's nothing like a hard and fast rule, but it's a median age. Now, why exactly does it happen is because of the loss of ovarian function. Okay, we'll see in the subsequent slides as to what exactly happens. Now, just to have a brief understanding of the period before menopause, okay, so which is called the perimenopause. If you can see this picture here, I'll just point it out in my cursor here. As you can see, this is the uterus here. You have the fallopian tubes and you have the ovaries. All right. Now, what basically happens is you have ovulation every month, and there is egg that is released. And if it is fertilized, there is pregnancy. If it does not get fertilized, you have your menstruation that occurs. Now, why it happens is because of estrogen levels that is dropping. Okay. Now, in post-menopause, what happens is the estrogen levels slowly starts decreasing over the age. Okay. Now, progesterone is another hormone which is also produced by the ovaries. So both of these hormones slowly start decreasing over the age. Okay. As you start aging, these two hormones start decreasing in your body, and the normal function that you can see here, okay, this does not occur. So basically, there are no ovum or egg in the ovaries. So that's why there is no fertilization, or there is no, this entire process is affected. All right. So I hope this slide is very clear, because the pictures itself explains everything. Now this graph, if you can see here, if you can see this is the estrogen levels in our body, and you can see a woman standing here, right? This is the normal productive life here, wherein the estrogen and the progesterone levels are sufficient here. And as you can see, here is when the fluctuation starts. You start noticing that your periods become very irregular. All right, you can see the fluctuations here goes up and down, and from here, see here as well, 35 to 45. So you can see this particular age group is when you see major variations in your periods, which used to happen very regularly, gets disturbed. All right, and then what happens is the last period is when you don't get your periods for about 12 months or 1 year. Okay, that's when you consider it to be the last period, which is approximately, on an average, it is about 51 years. But it could be anywhere from here to here. Okay, and that's when this particular phase is called the perimenopause. Okay, which most of you, I believe, are undergoing now. Okay, which there is a lot of fluctuation, there is a lot of transition. It is all because of the hormonal changes that is happening. And then next phase is when there is complete stoppage for about 12 months or more. And that's when you call it proper menopause. Okay, and then you have the post menopause, where you can see the estrogen levels here. It's gradually reducing, and then it comes into a very low level of estrogen in your body. So this is the menopause and the post-menopause phase. Now, we've been speaking so much about estrogen, which is present throughout our reproductive life. Estrogen is one particular hormone which is responsible for a very good health, especially in women. So what are the basic, you'll understand the symptoms that you're going through better once you know what are the functions, or what are the benefits of estrogen in our body. So firstly, if you see, it is very protective for our heart. Okay, that's why it is told that women die less of heart attack because of estrogen. Estrogen always protects women throughout her reproductive life. It's only when the estrogen levels start dropping that you start experiencing some of these heart problems. On the contrary, you see men die of heart attack or cardiac issues far more than women. It's because of less estrogen in their body. So the same thing goes in heart. You can see in every organ, you can see the benefits of estrogen. All right. We'll particularly focus on the reproductive system here. It is needed in the ovaries for the production of the ovum, and it is very much needed in the uterus as well for the monthly preparation of for pregnancy. And the other important thing is in the vagina, where it keeps the vagina moist. Okay, it is very important to have it moist, is because it will prevent infection. Okay, so that's all the benefits of estrogen. Now, if you can see, it also helps in cognition. It also helps in the psychologically. It gives you psychological benefits. So it increases the memory. It increases, or it maintains your libido. And the same thing goes for the breast, for the skin, okay, and for bone. As I said earlier, it is very much needed for a proper bone health. Now you can see menopause is reached when the last egg is released, and after that the woman stops having periods. All right. So if you can see these are the ovaries here. Okay, and you can see the ovum here. You are all in their maturation stages, and then you have an ultimate ovum, or the egg that comes out through ovulation. And over the years, you can see it starts depleting. Okay, you have less and less of eggs here, and ultimately there will be no egg at all in the ovaries. Okay. The same thing again, the hormone levels start dropping. Now, most of us experience a lot of changes in our body physically and psychologically is in this particular phase. You can see the blue shaded region in the graph. This is where many of us experience a lot of symptoms because it's the transition phase. Our body has to undergo a major change, so it needs to cope up with the change. So that's where you feel a lot of discomfort physically and mentally. Okay, now coming to the major thing as to what are the factors that affect menopause. Firstly, these are not hard and fast rule that these are the things which are affecting. Some of them, it varies. Some women have some of these factors which are majorly affecting them, or maybe the cause for menopause. For others, it might not be. So the first one is genetics. That is the mother's age. That is when the mother attained menopause. So that directly affects the daughter. All right. So that's a genetic factor. So which means if our parents have undergone, if my mother has undergone menopause at an earlier stage, so there is a high chance that I undergo menopause at an earlier stage. The same thing goes with my daughter as well. Second thing is lifestyle. As you know, smoking, use of tobacco, alcohol, and physical inactivity. All of these are again contributing factors for early menopause. Age of menarche. Okay, earlier is the menarche, that is the start of the menstrual cycle. Earlier are the chances of attaining menopause. Again, not necessarily that you'll have to attain early menopause. Again, these are some of the factors which they suggest. Next is the gestational age, the pregnancy duration, use of oral contraceptives. The more the usage of oral contraceptive, you're playing with the hormones of your body. Okay, so this will affect in the later stages of the women. So this will also affect the menopause. Next, if you have complaints or you had complaints of irregular menstrual cycle, wherein it is either it is for a longer duration or it does not happen monthly, it happens once in 3 months, once in 2 months. So again, there is high chances of the lady attaining menopause quite early. Number of pregnancies, this is also one of the factors. And BMI, as I've already told, physical inactivity, the more obese the lady is, the more chances are her of attaining menopause early. And unilateral oophorectomy, because there is removal of one ovary is there. So as a rule, there is decrease in estrogen levels. Okay. So what are the normal symptoms that you undergo? Okay. So the first symptom is irregular periods, okay, which is very obvious. You'll start experiencing that your periods, which have been very regular earlier, have become very regular. Say about happens in 40 days, 45 days. So it varies from person to person again, but you notice that it has become very irregular. Secondly, there is vaginal dryness. Okay, this one factor, this one symptom which is there troubles women a lot because this is a problem which presents with symptoms as itchiness. Okay, so which the lady experiences as a lot of discomfort. So this is one other symptom wherein there is vaginal dryness. Hot flashes. So this is sudden raise in body temperature that she experiences in spite of the outside temperature being normal. There is sudden increase in the body temperature that the lady experiences, okay, which subsides again after some time. It's also called as hot flushes, chills, night sweats, sleep issues, mood issues, weight gain, thinning of hair and dry skin, loss of breast fullness. Now, if you can see, all of these symptoms that I've mentioned here is directly related to the benefits of estrogen that you had seen in the earlier slide. Okay, so all of this, be it sleep issues, mood changes, weight gain, thinning of hair, dry skin, everything, all of this is directly affected to the decrease in estrogen levels. Again, this is just a pictorial representation of what I said earlier. So, because there is loss of bone mineral density in the body because of low estrogen levels, there is high risk of the women undergoing osteoporosis. Okay, so that's why, like one of the participant asked, that it's very important to supplement yourself with calcium, be it natural or you take supplements. And you can see the changes everywhere. You can see the changes in mood, that is in the brain, mood, and you become irritable a lot. There is thinning of scalp hair. You see that you have thick hair, it has started thinning. There is loss of elasticity in your skin. You see that it is become very, flabby. And there is loss of firmness of the breast, amenorrhea, and there is increased risk of vaginal infection because there is less vaginal secretion. And as I said earlier, there is risk of heart damage, that is risk of cardiac issues. There is again risk of osteoporosis and urinary incontinence. Okay, this is another important symptom that is seen, that there is decreased control over micturition or urination. Okay, that is called urinary incontinence. Because what happens is these estrogen receptors, they are basically present in the urinary bladder and the urethra. Okay, you can see the picture here. There are a lot of estrogen receptors here. Now, estrogen helps in maintaining the proper health of the urinary bladder. That is, we're able to hold the urine for a longer duration is because of these receptors here. So once these receptors have lost their function because of less estrogen, there is urinary incontinence that you experience. Now, another important thing that all of us need to be aware of is these symptoms. If you happen to experience any of these symptoms, it's very good for you to approach the doctor immediately because it could be something very disastrous as well. Okay, something like heavy periods. Okay, you have to beat, you have to change the pad regularly. That is, in a day you have to change about 5 to 10 pads, or it goes on for a longer duration, say about 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. Okay, so that is called heavy periods. You have to, that is one symptom. Second one is if you feel that there is a lump in the lower abdomen region, it is called the pelvic region. Thirdly, if there is abnormal vaginal bleeding, it is not your periods, but still you start bleeding per vagina, that is, which is abnormal, and change bowel habits. Okay, that you start experiencing either constipation or loose stools, any of these. Okay, which is not normally of your body type. Next, fifthly, there's difficulty in urination, or you take a lot of time to pass urine, or there is painful urination. Lastly, there is pain during sexual intercourse. So, all of these are alarm signs. It could be something like uterine cancer. So, it's always better to prevent than get it treated, right? So, we could always prevent. If you have any of these symptoms, kindly do visit the doctor. Do not delay it any further. Now, coming to what yoga could do for menopause. Now, I divided it into physical and psychological. So you'll have benefits that you can see physically as well as psychologically. What are the physical benefits that you could gain from? I'm sure majority of you, or at least some of you, have practiced yoga at some point in your life. So, firstly, it helps in toning your body. It helps in managing your weight. It strengthens knee joint. It's very important that women need to strengthen their knee joint. Not just knee joint, of course, but there are high chances of women having osteoarthritis because of increased weight. So there are certain practices in yoga which will help in strengthening knee joint, along with mobilization of all joints, and it tones the entire body. We've heard of a practice called as Surya Namaskara, which is an excellent practice for the entire body. It tones up the entire body, and it is one of the best practices that you could do in yoga.
Sapna, there's a request that for you to speak louder.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, am I audible now?
Yeah, you are. Maybe you can.
Okay. Let's just raise my voice. Okay.
Yeah.
So next, the fourth benefit is it helps in digestion. There's better digestion. There are certain practices which is responsible for aiding in proper digestion. Okay. If you have complaints of constipation or you have complaints of increased gas or flatulence in your abdomen, all of these benefits or all of these complaints can be addressed through yoga. And sleep can be improved. One of the major complaints that majority of the women who are undergoing this transition experience the sleep issues. So sleep can definitely be improved by pranayama and meditation. Again, it's very important that you practice the correct pranayama and correct meditation to get the benefits. Another thing is breathing capacity. Okay, you're able to breathe better. Okay, all of us have a very shallow breathing, but once you start practicing yoga, you're able to breathe well. Now, why breathing is very important, or deep breathing is very important, is when you start breathing very deeply and in a very systematic way through both your nostril, what happens is your mind is able to calm itself. Once the mind is able to calm, the thoughts that disturb your mind come under control. Okay, so there is a lot of clarity that you get. There's a lot of silence that you get when you improve your breathing capacity. So this can be achieved through pranayama. Again, your heart functioning, that is the cardiac functions, are also improved. Your heart rate, your your blood pressure, all of these are improved. Now, what are the psychological benefits that you can obtain? Is, as you all know, one session of yoga, you can see the difference in yourself, right? You can see that how calm and relaxed you are. You feel very positive. You feel a lot of optimism, and you feel a lot of energy. Another thing that most of us are affected are anxiety and low mood. So you see that mood fluctuations, right? You're very happy, you feel low sometimes. So all of these can be very effectively managed. Okay. Another very major effect, that a major benefit that is obtained through yoga is your willpower, your concentration, your memory, all of this improves. It improves tremendously. Okay, you're able to concentrate and do things much better. Your memory improves very well. Okay. So these are very simple techniques that I'm just going to tell you. The first practice that you can see here is this women lying down. If all of you can do this for about 2 to 3 minutes every day, it's very helpful. Be it for your knees, it strengthens your knees. It's also good for your abdomen, Okay, so this particular practice is very helpful for all of you who are attending the session. This one practice, if you could do every day for about 2 to 3 minutes. The other practice is this is called as the Shashankasana. All right, so this is another practice which you could do sitting over your knees and stretching your body in front. Okay, this is very good practice for calming your mind. And if you do not have complaints of knee pain, you could do this. This is called as the butterfly pose. This helps in strengthening your pelvic floor. Okay, so this is another practice that you could definitely do. And this particular mudra, which is called as the Surya mudra. Okay, so I want all of you to raise your hand in front of the screen, okay, in front of the camera. So you will have to bend your ring finger like this, and then you catch hold of your ring finger this way. All right, so this particular mudra is called Surya mudra. All right, so now this mudra is very effective for relaxing your body. It aids in digestion. This particular mudra, if you can hold it most of the time when you're free, if you can just hold it this way, this will be very helpful. Okay, this aids in digestion. It helps in reducing anxiety. All right, so this is all that I have about yoga and menopause. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. I would prefer more questions than me just talking. So
for these symptoms that I'm feeling. At times, huge mood up and downs as well. And is this is all I think after the surgery that I had, and I am 48 now. So I'm just imagining that maybe I'm going to hit menopause in a few years or so. And I just want to prepare for it correctly and also deal with my post hysterectomy symptoms.
okay. Uh, First of all, hi, ma'am, and thank you for the question. So, answering your question, you've undergone hysterectomy. So, what happens? There is a transition. Okay, it's a major thing wherein the uterus is being removed. So, what happens? The body needs to adjust to this major change. So, it will take some time, say about 2 to 3 years, for you to cope up with the changes that has happened in your body. So, during which you will experience such symptoms. And I'm really happy that you've been practicing yoga before. So, definitely, there are practices which will definitely help for this, be it for weight gain or be it for complaints like headache. Pranayama and meditation is one of the best practice that you can do for that. And also, if you have complaints of mood swings, definitely yoga will help. So there
Correct.
you can start with simple practices like breathing exercises. Then you can proceed on to a very simple asanas, or you could practice only Surya Namaskara depending on your how you will be able to perform. And slowly you can proceed to pranayama. You have to focus more on pranayama and meditation. So I'm sure you will definitely help with this. I mean with yoga. So there is nothing to worry. This is a transition phase that you are undergoing. Okay, so this is very natural to have such symptoms. Okay, but you just start with yoga and
Sure.
more
All
in
right.
specific, pranayama in specific.
All right.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Hello, ma'am. This Priyanka Garg. I want to know. I had undergone oophorectomy around 2 years back. So I want to know how to manage calcium levels. Like all my calcium source and all is gone. So I want to know how to manage calcium
Okay.
after.
Uh, yeah, hi Priyanka. For this question, no, you will have to supplement your body. Okay, as such, what happens because after post oophorectomy, what happens is the estrogen levels drop. Estrogen is one of the important things for bone health. Okay, so you have to supplement it through food, very natural food, not the supplements. But of course, like for example, if you have to supplement it through naturally, it will be milk and milk products. soya milk. All of these are ragi. If you are a South Indian, ragi is one of the best source for calcium. Okay, so if you can slowly include this food items in your diet, you'll be able to maintain your calcium levels. And of course, mild form of physical activity is important for bone health. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you'll be able to understand it throughout. I mean, the sessions that the slides that I've had, you'll be able to
Okay.
understand it better.
Okay, one question was, okay, which hand to use for the Surya Mudra?
Okay, right hand. Okay, I'll share my screen again. Okay, there was one question wherein I read in the chat section. I'm not sure if it is you asked for the benefits of yoga or was it some.
Sorry.
Chinmay, I read in the chat section, was it they had written, can you show the benefits?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hari Om, ma'am. This is
Yeah.
Madhu.
Okay, hi.
I am based at Mumbai, and I am basically a yoga teacher.
Oh, great.
And I really wanted to attend this session because definitely I'm also going through the same premenopause.
Okay.
I wanted to understand, ma'am, though we have learned many things in our yoga diploma regarding the premenopause and menopause and everything related to women. Only thing is, ma'am, physical benefits you have mentioned here. So can you just suggest few asanas where basically we can actually cope up with this the mental and physical thing which we are going through?
Okay. 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 Hi, Madhu. First of all, I'm really happy that you are somebody from the yoga background. So I'll just tell you some of the names of asanas. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. So, because you're already a practitioner, so I would suggest first thing you do is Surya Namaskaram. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Really.
Okay. Okay. The second thing that you could do is in supine. Okay, supine series, the first asana that I showed there. Okay, Uttita Padasana.
Okay.
Okay. Then you could do. You're noting it down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. 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 You could do Pavana Muktasana.
Yeah.
You could do Halasana.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then you can do that. Uh, Okay, then we'll come.
Ma'am, I have a query regarding like when we are during the menstrual cycle, and we should go for Vipreet Karni Mudra and Sarvangasana.
No, no, no. If it's better, always better to avoid it for the 4 days, for the first 4 days. Okay, you could do any other practice other than the inverted ones.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure,
And
ma'am.
okay, then coming to the sitting posture, you could do Baddha Konasana, the all three series of Konasana. Okay,
Ma'am, ma'am, sorry, I'm not aware about this.
Okay. Okay. You know Baddha Konasana?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I had showed in that slide. Wait a second. Yeah, this.
That is,
this.
you're talking about, okay.
Correct. This practice.
Okay.
Okay.
Butterfly. Okay.
Correct. Okay. And in the same way, there is something called as Upavishta Konasana, wherein you stretch both your legs straight out.
Okay.
Okay. That is another practice that you will have to do.
Okay.
Okay. And in Pranayama, you could do Nadi Shuddhi and Brahmari.
Yes. Brahmari. Okay.
Yeah. And meditation, you could do Om meditation. But again, if you should be really thorough with it, otherwise, I would suggest you don't do it. But I think pranayama, these two would be sufficient.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, during periods like obviously maybe it's a premenopause position thing. So during periods nowadays, like I'm having heavy flow. though I'm doing my practices daily. Even I'm associated with many institutes regarding as a demo teacher. I'm associated, but still, ma'am, during periods, I'm having heavy flow. So, like second day and third day, I'm not at all like feeling good to do any activity.
Okay.
So, is this normal,
Okay. Ma'am, what is your age?
ma'am? I'm 44 right now.
Okay. Was it the same earlier, or you're experiencing this change now?
Ma'am, no. I think because till date my periods are very much regular. But yes, in during last 6 months, or maybe I don't know, due to pandemic, or there is something in the mind. So maybe because of that, I started having the heavy flow nowadays. Like maybe not very much heavy, but yes, normal. It's not normal, which I used to have. So I understood that there is something going on in my body because of the premenopause.
Okay. Okay. So what you could do, if it's been since 6 months, if you're experiencing this sort of a change in your body, it's always better to get a checkup done. Okay, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yes.
So it's better that you get yourself go to a gynec and get yourself checked,
Okay.
because it's since 6 months. You say it was not earlier you were not experiencing this, and since 6 months you're experiencing this drastic change. I would suggest that you get a scan done.
Okay.
Okay.
Ma'am, would you like to suggest any supplements regarding like if we are going through this position and like maybe vitamin, iron, or any other like what should we take? Because generally being a yoga teacher or maybe being in yoga, I am very far from the medicines and allopathy. So that's why I just thought because you are into yoga also, so if you can guide us.
Okay. So naturally, as I said, calcium is very important. Calcium, okay, iron, all right, and if you can take nuts every day, okay,
Yes.
be it walnut or almonds, pista, cashew, any sorts of nuts, but walnut is one of the best because it's very rich in omega 3 and
Okay.
omega 6. So if you can take that, flax seeds are also one of the best supplements that you can take. But
Okay.
calcium and iron is a must.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so
So
these,
much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
yeah, okay.
Okay, I think Suvarna Pawar has raised her hand. So, madam, please unmute and ask your question.
Sure. Thank you. Hello, doctor. This is Suvarna. I am 40 years old. My periods are regular. But what I observe about myself is that whenever my periods will start, before that 5-6 days, I get angry. I know I should not do this, but still I get angry on small things, and my legs are paining. So could you please guide me on this? What should I do, with yoga or any other thing? Please
Okay.
guide me.
Oh, okay. Hi. First of all, it's very, very natural. Okay. All that you have experiencing, that is priorly, it is very natural. Okay. So it's called as PMS. Okay, premenstrual symptom, which is very natural. Okay. First of all, you need not worry on that. Secondly, you you can start with yoga. All right, you can start, say for example, now you've got your periods now, leave for about 5-6 days and then you start yoga until your next periods.
Okay.
So you can see the difference, that you're able to better manage your PMS, that is your premenstrual symptom, the feeling that you the thing that you experience. Say for example that you get very angry or you become very anxious, all of these you can manage it.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, but it's important, firstly, that I have to really say that you have identified this problem. Okay. Identifying that you have this problem is one major thing. Okay. So, the next simple thing is the solution. All right. So,
Right.
if you're going for a physical activity, you're going for a walk, anything. Okay. You can just start including all of this.
Okay.
Okay. But one thing that I would suggest to all of you is do any of these physical activity outdoor if it is possible. I know because of the pandemic, all of us have confined ourselves to our homes. But if you could just go and get some fresh air instead of just inside, because a lot of fresh air is needed. And if you're
Okay.
doing yoga, it'll be fantastic if you could do it somewhere where there is open space, okay, and there is air flowing in and out.
Okay. What kind of yoga do you suggest?
It would depend, ma'am, because a beginner and a practitioner,
Mhm.
there is a lot of difference in the
Okay.
practices that we give. So I would not be able to tell it, like just like that, because from body to body it varies.
Mhm.
What I may be able to perform or others may be able to perform, you may not be able to, right? So
Okay.
which
Okay.
requires a lot of practice. So simple ones you can start,
Mhm.
okay, not Surya Namaskara, maybe simple ones. But pranayama you could do everything.
Okay.
Okay, there is no as such any contraindication for you.
Mhm.
You could slowly start, and I'm sure you'll be able to see the difference.
Okay. Okay.
Sapna madam, this is Chinmay. Maybe you can just go back to the slide where you have the photos of the asanas, and you were recommending a few of them to one of the participants. If you could also just, I don't know, type it out on your
Uh,
slide.
I didn't get you. Can you come again, Chinmay?
No, one is if you can just name these once more for the benefit of the participants. That is one.
Okay.
And the second is, I think, for to one of the participants, you were recommending a few asanas. So
Correct. Oh, okay.
so you could
Okay.
just maybe type it out on the slide so that people may follow. So whoever can do it, they may figure it out. What I will
Okay.
do is, I will also, with your help, I will maybe circulate a set of photographs of those asanas maybe later.
So shall I
Post.
write it here
Yeah, you can write it here.
or
No,
there?
no, that's fine. You can just write it. This so that people can just follow it.
Okay. In the slide that I had put, this was the first one. The second one was okay. These are the three practices that I had uh, put pictures over there.
Okay. So you said Surya Namaskara also is
Correct. Okay, so
useful, right?
these are the three ones. I'll erase it, or you want to keep it?
No, keep it. You can just add below it.
No, I think this is good.
Okay. Okay.
These are the ones that I told.
Mhm.
These are the ones which are in the slide.
Okay. I have one more request, Sapna madam. If you can, no, demonstrate a simple pranayama that, I mean, just for the benefit of people,
Okay.
what they can. You had recommended deep breathing, right? So one simple thing that participants can take away is how to do right deep breathing. So can just demonstrate that. So all of you, I will
I'll be teaching you a very simple pranayama. Before
We
that,
can't hear you.
okay, the first practice that I'll be teaching you is a form of breathing exercise. All right. Then I'll teach you one simple pranayama. Okay. So the first practice, keep your back and neck straight. Now bring your hands, interlock. Okay. And place it over your chest. Interlock and place it over your chest. Now you're going to inhale. You're going to breathe in and stretch your hands straight in front. All right. Then you're going to breathe out and your hands are back. All right. So you're going to breathe in, stretch your hands in front, breathe out and back. All right. This is the first practice. This is called a breathing exercise. All right. Next, I'm going to tell you is a pranayama. So, which your right hand, bring it forward, bend your index and middle finger. The other three fingers are extended. So, you're going to close your right nose. You're going to breathe in through left. You're going to close your left and breathe out through right. You're going to breathe in through right, close right, breathe out through left. Okay. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to close your right nose. You're going to breathe in through left, close left, breathe out through right. Once again, you're going to breathe in through right, close right, breathe out through left. This is one round. Okay. So the first practice that you did, this is called hand stretch breathing. Now this particular practice you could do rounds. And the pranayama that you did now is called Nadi Shuddhi Pranayama, which you could do for about 9 rounds. Okay, you're going to start with left, breathe out through right, breathe in through right, breathe out through left. This is one round. So in this way, you're going to do for 9 rounds. Okay, so this is one of the best that you could do every morning, preferably early in the morning than late evenings.
Okay, thank you so much, Sapna. Okay, there's one question. Madam Sanjal Patil has a question. Would you like to unmute and ask? Okay, I think she has typed it on chat. She wants to ask about acidity before periods. I think it's put it on chat.
Can you come again? I didn't hear.
Her age is 48 years and she's
Okay. Yeah. I'm reading it. Okay. Hi, Sanjay. Okay, I'm suffering acidity before periods. All right. So what you could do for complaints of this is you need not give a lot of break in between food. Okay. Keep eating frequent meals, but it does not mean that you eat heavy meals. Okay, that you eat very light food, very bland food. Be it any fruit is also good. Okay, you could eat banana, you could eat apple, any of that. Just keep eating it at a frequent time. So you could just split your day into smaller, short meals. In this way, you'll be able to manage acidity better.
Okay, Sapna, before going for other questions, I'll quickly make a quick announcement for the participants here. So, participants, we are running a preventive care program, which I had mentioned at the when we are starting this session. So, we are running a very focused, personalized preventive care program where you can, and we are organizing a free half-an-hour session, which is more of an assessment session. So you can reach out to us and Dr. Sapna, you can have a consultation with her for your personalized issues if required. So I'll share my details at the end of the program. If interested, you can reach out to her. We have a 10-session care program with where we are offering a free first half-hour assessment session with her. So which is online on Zoom like we are doing now. So you can try that out. Okay, Madam, I have one more question. I think a couple of questions which came before the session early on. So women who have undergone hysterectomy, I think one of the participants actually talked about it early on, and maybe other surgical procedures like that, which affect your health in a major way. What can they do? Have a good, healthy balance. Hello, were you able to hear me?
No, can you come again? I'm not able to see the question.
No, it's not typed. I think I'm referring to the discussion we had before your lecture started.
Okay.
One of the participants had mentioned about hysterectomy and
Correct.
and the follow-on symptoms that she is facing. So if I try to generalize that, I think I know that there are many women who actually undergo similar such procedures, major procedures. So is there something that they can do to manage this post-surgical transition?
Okay. So as I said earlier, the body is undergoing a lot of transition, right? Something which was there is not existing, so the body has to bear the shock. But it will definitely recover from this, but it takes a certain duration of time, say about 2 to 3 years. So during this time, it is very essential that you keep yourself active. Okay, so the more secluded you become, the more the condition worsens. So it's always better to start with some sort of physical activity. If you're doing yoga, it will be well and good to start with Surya Namaskara. Okay, and then you slowly start proceeding with some asanas, simple asanas, and you could do pranayama and meditation. And as I said earlier, the more focus will be on pranayama and meditation. Okay, but this is a very normal phenomena that happens with anybody who's undergone the surgery. So there's nothing to worry, but you'll have to do something about it. So you could start just incorporating simple practices, and you will definitely see the results.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Okay, I think there are no more questions. So maybe Sapna ma'am, you can just summarize the key points that you talked about before we close.
Okay. So you've heard a lot about what is menopause, why it happens, and what are the symptoms what are the symptoms that one undergoes, and what are the something like uterine cancer, what are the major symptoms of it. You've seen all of that. So just to summarize it all, it is a very normal biological process, right? All of us that experience something like menopause. So the symptoms that you experience priorly, be it in perimenopause stage or postmenopause stage, is very natural. Okay, so it is, as I said earlier, it's because of the hormonal changes that is happening in your body. So you could start incorporating a little bit of yoga in your daily routine, physical activity, and yoga. Okay, and you will definitely be able to cope with it better. Okay, and all right. So there's another question. Okay. So this is all I would like to say. So thank you so much.
Ma'am, I would like to give lots of thanks to you, because though I'm doing yoga daily, but still, yes, your session helped me a lot today. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
So I think we are sharing our coordinates. I think if anyone would like to avail a free assessment session with Dr. Sapna, you can reach out to me on my email and phone number, which is being shared on the screen. You can also follow. So this session's recording will be available. I think all those who have registered here on the emails, I will be sending out the link to the recording in the next few days. You can also follow us. All our previous webinars are also available on our YouTube channel. So you can actually go there and look at some of the other sessions that may be helpful for you. So, okay, ma'am. Thank you, all the participants, for joining here today. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor, and thank you, Chinmay sir, for such a wonderful session. I liked it very much. Thanks.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. So we'll close the session now. So thank you, Sapna ma'am. Thank you for taking the session today. I'm sure it was helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. You have a good day, guys.